Hey, everybody. Welcome to day 26 of Sefer Hamitzvot. So today we're going to do two mitzvahs. The first one is what we call Nesiyas Kapayim. It's the mitzvah, it's the 26th mitzvah, that the Kohanim, the priests, are commanded to bless the Jewish people every single day. And this is based on the pasuk, Ko Sevarechu es Bnei Yisrael Amar Lahem, which means, thus shall you bless the children of Israel, say to them. And then it says the blessing. The details of the mitzvah have been explained in the last chapters of Tractate Megillah and Tainus, and in the 7th chapter of Sota. That's what Rambam alludes to, where the halachos are written. Okay. Similar to the idea that prayer has specific times, so too does Berachas Kohanim. There's the idea of saying it in Shacharis, Mincha, and Ne'ilah, which they used to say every fast day. Now there's this idea that Mincha we don't really do, because at that point we know for sure people have eaten, which usually goes along with drinking. And if a Kohen is intoxicated, he is not allowed to give the blessing. That's okay. So we also know that in Yerushalayim, they do priestly blessing more often than we do here in America. Here, for the most part, we only do it on the Chagim during Musaf, once a day. There is one time a year where we do it in Shacharis versus Musaf, and that is Simchas Torah, because the custom is after Shacharis to make Kiddush, so that when we do Hakafos, we're ready for drinking. So because we basically know that the Kohanim will be intoxicated, we do Berachas Kohanim in Shacharis. So, okay, now the big question is, the Kohen, even though his status might be more special, but it's a regular person, like really, we're receiving blessings from these guys? What's the idea? So Rambam says that basically, no, Hashem is giving you the blessing. In fact, the pasuk is, and it says, Va'ani avarachem, you bless, but I'm the one blessing. God is blessing. The Kohen, they were chosen as the conduit for God's blessing, but let's not kid ourselves. It's God's blessing, and they have the gift and the opportunity to be the conduits of God's blessing. And that's one of the reasons why you don't look at the Kohen, right? When the Kohen, it's very special. Try to be there. I know as kids, we went to shul for Berachas Kohanim. Or if the kids are playing outside, you call them in for Berachas Kohanim. And the treat that you get to go under the talis, Tati's talis. But the idea, right? So men cover themselves with the talis so they don't see. And women look to the sideways or look down, because you don't want to think or fool yourself that the priest, these guys, this one, that one, Ethan is most darling and dear, but he's not the one blessing us with these special blessings. It's God, and he's just using them as the conduit, which is a great gift and privilege that they have. Now, another conversation, which is the same thing, it's not a contradiction, but it's kind of more in an idealistic terms, is, again, why are the priests chosen for this? And it's because back in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, or in other words, the way it's ideally supposed to be, is that a Kohen is full of Kedusha, full of holiness. What does he spend his time doing? He's in the Beis HaMikdash. He's serving Hashem. That is his whole life. It's be all and end all. He's not working the fields. He's not this. He's not doing business. So somebody who's like, aura is holiness and is only involved in holiness, what better place to receive the blessings than from someone who's in there? Now, again, practically our priests today, and even probably then during the times of the Beis HaMikdash, were not all pure and holy, but I guess it's symbolic of why they are the conduit to receive these special blessings. It's only one mitzvah in the count of the mitzvahs. However, if a Kohen does not give a blessing when he has an opportunity to, he's violating 3 mitzvahs. And vice versa, if he is doing the mitzvah, because it's written 3 times, he's completing 3 mitzvahs. Okay, so that's the mitzvah of Nesiyas Kapayim, of the priestly blessing. Shavuos is coming up. It's an amazing opportunity to get a priestly blessing, so I encourage you to do that. Next mitzvah is positive mitzvah number 12, and this is the mitzvah of tefillin. Now, tefillin has 2 parts, and they're 2 separate mitzvahs. There's the mitzvah of the head and the mitzvah of the arm. I think I'm supposed to touch my left arm because I'm a righty, right? So today we're going to do the mitzvah of the head tefillin. Tomorrow is the mitzvah of the hand tefillin. But they are two separate mitzvahs. This mitzvah is written 4 times in the Torah and the pasuk in V'ahavta, so it's very familiar. V'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha. They shall be totafot. That's the interesting word, between your eyes. Now, tefillin is such a good example of how the written Torah Shebektav, the 5 books of Moses, are so they need to go hand in hand with the oral Torah. It's so obvious that that's the system Hashem set up, because tefillin, it says, there should be something between your eyes, and they should be tied as a sign on your hands. That's all it says. What it looks like, what should be written, how, when, what. This is all written in the oral Torah. In other words, it was passed down right away from Moshe, but it was always an oral tradition. So it's just such a good, this and mezuzah are such good examples of like, it's literally impossible to serve Hashem just from looking at the written word of the Chumash. Okay. So yes, they're 2 separate mitzvahs. However, the ideal way to do it, as we know, you say put on tefillin. So they put on, guys, you put on the hand first or the head first? I actually don't know. Head?
The hand. Okay. You put on the arm, then the head, and you go back to doing the hand itself. Okay.
All right. Arm, head, hand. Fine. But the ideal way is that you don't do an interruption in between, and therefore you could make one bracha on both of these actions. But it is 2 separate mitzvahs, and let's say, God forbid, somebody doesn't have an arm. It's not like, oh, you don't put on tefillin, they still put on head tefillin. There is 2 separate mitzvahs. It happens to be most people, thank God, are able to do them together, and that's why. But let's say there was an interruption. They'd only put on their arm, and they didn't have a chance to put on their head. I think the halacha is, if there was a real interruption, you're going to make a separate bracha, because it is 2 separate mitzvahs. Only if they're back to back with no interruption in between are you able to make only one bracha. Here I wrote here, do hand in that head. And why did that come up? Because like I said, there's different counts of mitzvahs, right? Many were learning Rambams. Rambam first puts head, then hand. Whereas I know the Sefer Chinuch, which is the other main one that we compare and contrast, first does hand, then head. And the reason he does that, I'm trying to see. Yeah, the head tefillin is number 12 of the count. And the hand tefillin, where do I have that written? On tomorrow's page is 13. So the mitzvah, the other Sefer Chinuch does it in the order of what you do, right? And Rambam, it seems to do it kind of in order of holiness. And what I mean by that is there's an idea that the head tefillin is considered more holy, so to speak, than the hand tefillin. Even though they look outside identical, the head tefillin, I'm learning a lot about tefillin, has 4 compartments, 4 different scrolls, whereas the arm tefillin only has 1. And because, let's say, there's halachas about this. I think, let's say the strings from the head, you can't use for the hand for whatever reason you might have to, but the hand, because you're allowed to rise, you're just not allowed to go down, you're allowed to rise, you'd be able to use it for the head. So in terms of like holiness, that's considered more holy, and that's one of the reasons why that's the main reason we know of that the Rambam does it in this order when he's teaching it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's the main thing. Oh, sorry. One more very important thing. Women are not obligated. And you know what? We'll talk about that tomorrow because I'm just preparing both mitzvahs together. Okay. So today we did the priestly blessing and the mitzvah of head tefillin, which is separate from the mitzvah of hand tefillin, which we will analyze and talk about tomorrow. Have an amazing day and see you all soon. Bye.